This scoundrelly internet of mine just kicked me off all of a sudden for no reason. I said, hey, what do you think you're doing? And it said, no buts, mister. I want to have internet right now. It's like just all of a sudden just kicked me off the internet. I don't know why. Yeah, we're back. Oh, hey Lou. Good to see you. Look, I just don't want things to be awkward between us, you know. We had great times together, and I'll never forget, you know, you and Portland, but please stop calling me. That's what I'm saying is I need to focus on my relationship with Eric now. Man, I'm sorry, Lou. Your letter is kind of being harsh to you. I know that you thought it was going to be forever, but you see, I may not be very good at seducing women, but I'm extremely good at seducing lighters. Yeah, you are, big boy. I know I am. Like that. That's how you that's how you seduce a lighter. I swear I did not intend to steal this lighter. But it's like when it comes to lighters, I guess my hands have stickum on them. Anybody here remember stickum? Stickum was something they used to allow people to use in the NFL. It was a sticky shit you put on your hands that so when you got the ball, it would stick to your hands better. Well, but you know what I say about that blue lighter of yours, Blue? It's got that ridge on it that makes it less holdable than this lighter. This is a very holdable lighter. And once you go black, you never go back. I actually usually don't buy black lighters, even though they're the coolest looking. It's because I always want to get a different color lighter than I had before, or that it, you know, because I think somehow I'll be able to keep track of which is the new lighter. Because a lot of times I have to buy a lighter not because I don't have a lighter, but because I don't have a lighter with me. You know, because I'm bad at keeping track of objects. I'm bad at it, especially in winter. In winter time, you're adding 4, 8, maybe even 12 pockets to your already too many pockets. I couldn't find my glasses at the restaurant. I couldn't read the menu, even though they were in my pocket. They were just in a different pocket than all the pockets I checked, I guess, you know. If I had some sort of system, Like, I always put this in that pocket, this in that pocket. But it's impossible to have a system because I've been wearing these sweatpants for like the last 6 days. And I just don't trust sweatpant pockets for something as important as my wallet. Jeans pockets are great for my wallet. My front pocket of my jeans is the perfect place for a wallet. I always like feel it there. So, I'm making sure that it oh yeah, putting things down. Like, I had just gotten my cigarettes in the hotel room, and I was gonna go out and smoke one. This is in the morning before we left. And then, even though I just picked them up, I had them in my hand. All of a sudden, they were just not in my hands anymore. I was like, where could they possibly be? And I looked around. Finally, I realized what had happened is I had to blow my nose. So I put them down to get a Kleenex out of the box that was in the bathroom, just the Kleenex dispenser, and blew my nose, and then went to go smoke a cigarette, and where are my cigarettes, That shit happens to me all the time. I hate that shit. Last night, I got the cat food from the kitchen and brought it into the bedroom because we're going to try to just keep the cats in the master bedroom. We're going to try to minimize my footprint in this place as they're taking all the shit out, And then, but I'd done it like absent-mindedly, I took the cat food in there, and then I went back in there only to realize that there are no plates. I have to go out to the pod to get the paper plates that I put in the pod, and I'm just like, oh God, this is horrible. There are anything to put it on. And then I was like, okay, well, I can't find any plates, so I guess just grab this cat food and take it into the bedroom. And I look all around the kitchen. Where is the cat food? It was just right here. I had just carried it into the bedroom. It's because, who has attention to pay to objects? It's enough to make a man want to wear a fanny pack. I did for a little while after my dad died. I put on his fanny pack. I thought, yeah, this is really actually quite well set up. It's got like an external thing for keys. He had it all set up nicely, but the problem is, it's like, it kind of sags down. It's like you kind of have to mess with it a lot. I don't know. Yeah, well, the worst thing is when you do this. You've had this thing in a bad place for a long time. It's not really a good place for it. It's too important to be there. but it's been there for a long time. You know where it is. And you decide one day, I need to put this in a safer place. Someplace where it's appropriate for this thing. And you put it someplace else. Zero chance you're going to find that thing again. It's just, you might as well just write it off as lost forever. There's no possible way, because you already got it in your head where it is. It's in that bad place where it shouldn't be. And now you cannot remember, even though at the time when you move it, you go, okay, remember, Eric, you're putting this thing, like my birth certificate, you're putting this thing in this USC folder for some reason. It's just, I don't like TE at all. And really, dealing with your objects, if you don't use TE to deal with them, that's what's going to happen. If you use TE to deal with them, then you have, like my dad had, this fanny pack that's all set up with everything, and you always use that. But I don't want to direct TE to object management. I don't. I habitually don't. And so, as a consequence, I do a poor job of managing objects. Yeah, but this is what these are the kind of things that drive a man insane. So last night I tried to get all this shit set up. I get it set up in the bedroom, which was a dumb place to get it set up anyway, because we didn't even have any chairs in there. What were we gonna do, sit on the bed? And it was just a bad idea to begin with. But you know, I was thinking I wanted to minimize my footprint around here, so we're just gonna occupy one room, and yeah. Well, I get it all set up, and the Wi-Fi signal in there is good enough to play videos, like stream videos, but it's not good enough to stream from. It is in there, which is like the same distance away, but who knows why, right? So then I had to come bring it out here. I got this card table to put the shit on from the pod. This card table. This is my grandma's card table. I remember this from my grandma's house. That's where I kept it. It's a pretty cool old card table. I brought the card table here. But then it's like, okay, well, is the big TV gonna fit on the card table? So I go looking for a tape measure. Of course, we don't have any more tape measures inside here. They're all in the fucking pod. The ones that I kept, you know. And so I'm just like, okay, forget trying to measure this. I'm just gonna go carry this big TV out here and find out. Even though I knew, I was like, it's not big enough. It's not gonna fit on there. But you don't really know, Eric, until you try it or measure it. And of course, it didn't fit. So now I got the big TV over there. Just gotta move that into the pod, but it's fragile, so I hate tea. I hate it so much. TE, when at its best, it prevents problems. It's like it doesn't even do anything good. It just prevents problems for me anyway. Like I thought and even then it didn't necessarily work. I thought I had TE'd yesterday's trip well, so that we would arrive in LA at like 1 o'clock and get through it before rush hour started, right? Instead, we arrive at 1 o'clock and it's just fucking jam traffic all the way practically home. Why? There wasn't even any accidents. So I don't know. It's like you have to TE based on certain likelihoods, and they might not come to be, and it's just so uncertain. The whole thing is uncertain. I wish I had TE'd going into Portland. I didn't even think about that because I'm SI. I'm habituated to thinking about going into LA, but when I go into other cities, I don't think about it. Yeah. Well, sorry to hear that, Lou. Portland. I'm glad I got to visit Portland. Never really been there before. I know I've been through it before, but I never stayed there before. It's an interesting place. There's a lot of good things about it and a lot of bad things about it. I enjoyed my trip to the antique mall there. I bought a pair of boots. But regardless, I like to go to those things kind of to just look at all the stuff, see if there's something weird to make a video about. I don't necessarily want to get anything. But, I felt very much at home with all the people in the antique mall. You know, it's like a lot of my kind of people live in Portland. You might call them creatives or something. That'd be great, Lou. Mount Hood. Sounds like a bit of a gangster mountain, you know. So, I guess I got stuff to do today. I'm feeling kind of meh at the moment because I took all the rest of my Adderall this morning, which is like 5 of them. But it's so late in the bottle, I just feel tired. You know, it's like it's not even working. Does Mount Hood have high strangeness? I think I have heard tales from there. I think you're thinking maybe of Crater Lake. I think Crater Lake has a certain amount of high strangeness. People disappear there, you know. There's also a really spooky story about these two women who disappeared at the lava tubes in Oregon. I've been spelunking in those lava tubes before. I was like 18 with my friend Chris Mora. We went into those caves. It was pretty crazy, you know. But apparently, two old ladies were just like walking along this path that is for people who aren't spelunking. They just sort of like want to walk this paved path that goes. It's like a short loop back to the parking lot or something, you know. And they both just disappeared. I'm gonna have to go to Yosemite when we live in Mariposa, because I don't think I've ever been there before, strangely. Because it just wasn't a place that we went. I remember going with my parents to the giant sequoia forest. We camped in other places. You know, we camped in Mammoth. We did a lot of eastern high Sierras and Bishop, Mammoth, June Lake, that area, you know. But I don't think I've ever been to Yosemite. Why are you giving me so much trouble? This lighter has performance anxiety in front of you, Lou. That's what it is. I don't blame you. I don't blame you, buddy. You should be ashamed of yourself. You know, I like to hear those stories about people disappearing in the forest. You know, those are spooky. Was it a person? Did they just fall in a hole? Was it a Bigfoot? Who knows? One of the Mr. Ballin stories tells of this very spooky story of this lady who was walking the Appalachian Trail, and then somebody started like following her, and she like was trying to run away from him for like 2 days, and finally she got out, and it's like whoever it was that was following her never would like, it wouldn't get too close, but he was always like back there, you know. Ew. Gives me the chills, gives me the goose pimples to even think about it. What lurks beneath? Okay, we'll check it out. That sounds great, because you know, I really like that stuff, but I exhausted all of Mr. Ballin's non-depressing content. I like stuff that's spooky but not depressing. Like true crime stories where some people get murdered and stuff. Those are too dark for me usually. I could watch the ones where some of the ones where he tells stories about people dying in really weird ways, like accidentally getting stuck under that thing or whatever. But then even after a little bit of that, I was like, I can't even watch these. I like there to be unexplainable mystery. Well, I'll have to check it out. 'Cause I think Mr. Ballin does a good job. Well, like his best videos are great. The ones that are the ones that are just what like I wanted, like campfire stories, basically. Um, but true stories. Those are great. You know what was super cool? I can't believe this happened to me. Really, is that the story about that kid who got lost in the mountains, right? And the cabin and the grandfather, etc. That actual guy contacted me to tell his story. I couldn't believe it. It was amazing. It's like I it, I solved the mystery, you know? I mean, it wasn't me who solved it, he solved the mystery, but I resolved the matter, you know? I resolved the matter. And I interviewed him, and he told the whole story, and I think I did a pretty good job of interviewing him, you know? It was great. That was one of the best things to ever happen to me on YouTube. The video only has like 300 views, but it was so satisfying to me personally because I had made a video talking about this case in a level-headed manner, and he had watched various videos about his case, and there was some other video guy in particular that made him mad, right? Like, I did not like the way that guy talked about what happened to me, but he liked the way I talked about what happened to him, and he chose me to tell a story. So I found that very gratifying. Very, very gratifying. Yeah. And, you know, I feel bad for the guy. It turned out to be, it was very traumatic for him. Not only was it traumatic for him when it happened, but it cast him in a certain light in his community thereafter with the kids, you know, that wasn't good. It didn't play out well, you know. And, you know, he's still sensitive about wanting the truth to be told, not some other version of the story. So I'm glad I had that opportunity to interview him. That was nice. Because it's like I watch all the paranormal stuff. I've watched all of those things. I have never heard of this one though that you mentioned, What Lurks Beneath. So I'll have to check that one out for sure. I really like that kind of content, you know. And to actually get to talk to the guy that was the kid in that story, wow. Somebody was asking earlier, like, what makes me happy? Or, that made me happy. That made me really happy. Mushrooms make me happy. Having to wait to take mushrooms again does not make me happy. Like, there's not even any point in eating them today. If I do, I'm just wasting mushrooms. I'd have to eat so many. Delilah makes me happy, for sure. Rachel makes me happy. I mean, well, Rachel and I are a pair, you know. It's a fantastic relationship, but it's too much of a constant to be something that makes me happy in that regard, right? This makes me happy right now. What I'm doing makes me happy, but what I also have going on in my head right now is this sense of, I gotta have have to get up and start doing things. I need to move some of these other boxes to the pod and do some of that big TV and ugh. Yeah, I don't like doing things really. I like sitting here chatting with you guys. I like to play, and the last couple of years have impacted my relationship with playing. When I first got back to my dad's house, I still had momentum of playing. I loved to play. I still would, take my Adderall, get in a bottle, and do a lot of things, like do music, do whatever. But, the last year of my dad's life, it was really grinding me down. I was not, it was not a good place to be. Being here, mostly unemployed, and trying to be a good son to a father who just intentionally wasn't designed to benefit at all from my configuration. So it was difficult, I felt guilty all the time, and I was super broke all the time, and I could never really relax unless my dad was out of town, and even then, I could only relax so much because I knew that when he came back, if I had moved anything or left like one drop of mess anywhere, we would hear about it. One time Rachel used some of his cereal. We had milk, we didn't have cereal, and he was mad. He's like, he got all about it. Just, for Christ's sakes, Dad, because he's always given various mixed messages, depending on his mood. Sometimes he'd be like, please help yourself, but then that wouldn't apply 5 minutes later, So it was a challenge, and I kind of stopped playing by the end. It was the only play that carried me through was Mindy's Club. I haven't uploaded any videos on that for a while now. I probably will again, but I don't know. I guess I'm just taking a break from creativity. I have all these videos that I made when I was on mushrooms. I couldn't upload any of them because Jeff's mom. Okay, I'll call her. Because the internet was so terrible. But I probably will go through them And maybe upload some of them. Just gotta let them, like Google Photos, sync them, you know. And once they're online on Google Photos, then I could download them to a computer and then upload them again. You know, I don't tend to publish things from my phone unless they're shorts. Was he not impressed by your debate skills? I don't know if impressed is the right word. He did like it when I was a successful debate coach, in that he would, when we traveled to nationals, he and my mom would often travel there and vacation there, and then maybe watch one round of my kids competing or something. Maybe watch finals or something, you know. So I guess that's pretty good affirmation, but he never said he was proud of me or said he thought I was doing a good job. That man did not praise me at all. So, I mean, I don't remember my dad ever really praising me for anything. No, I checked that. I correct myself. There was one time when he came back from being out of town, and we had cleaned the shit out of the kitchen. And he said, like, wow, you guys did such a great job. But it's that's the kind of thing that impressed my dad, when we cleaned the kitchen. He was not, no. Was my dad proud of me? No. Definitely not. Ashamed of me? Probably. But, you know, it's like, he was never abusive. He just was old school dad, you know. He was not a new school dad. Yeah, he told me he loved me. I mean, it was, I think it was always this, I love you too, son. He was never, I love you, Eric. It was, I love you, Dad. I love you too, son. He probably didn't want to make me any softer. You can't get any softer than me. I'm as soft as it gets. I'm like a down pillow. There was this one time when I was like 20 something, and I was telling him about how I'd gone to this party the night before, and I met this really interesting guy and talked to him about stuff, right? And he thought I was a homosexual. It was like not like that, Dad. I mean, I'm telling you about this interesting guy I met last night who does these interesting things. I'm not telling you I want to fuck him. That's just. Oh, David. Well, he really wanted me to be a runner, like a long distance runner. Well, my dad and your mom. They said my dad and my mom. My mom's not NI4, but she is NIA. There was also that time that he was absolutely convinced that I was smoking. This was when I was like 14. I was not smoking. Okay, I did not smoke. Because he found a cigarette pack cellophane, like near the garage door in the driveway. And he's like, well, if you didn't leave it there, then where did it come from? I have no idea where it came from. Blew down the driveway? You know, he would not believe me. I could not get him to believe me that I had nothing to do with that. Your mom told me that she's cut me out of the will if you marry a black guy. Wow. You just have to explain to her, he's brown. Okay. That's not black. This is black. That guy is brown. I feel like today's a boring day. There's no good sports on. There's an NFL game on tonight. That's pretty good. Seattle versus San Francisco on Prime. I'll probably watch that. I like to watch those Prime broadcasts because they got the best broadcasters. They got Kirk Herbstreit and Al Michaels, maybe? Or is it that other guy from ESPN? I don't know, but they're great. They're like my favorite broadcast team, so. Kirk Herbstreit's fantastic. He is the best color commentator in college football. I like Petros Papadakis a lot, too. What about if you marry an Asian guy, Mac Daddy? Is that okay? That's surprising because your mom can't be that old, right? Usually I think of old school racists as being like my grandmother. My grandma was racist like that. She's 64. It's a little young to be that racist. Yeah, my grandma would say things like, "Oh, Agnes across the street hired a handyman to do some work. He was black as sin." That's what she'd say. She'd say shit like that. So, your mom thought you shit in the bathtub, but it was actually dog shit? That's insane. That's so crazy. Like, most least likely to be silly or goofy. Um, I guess probably ENTP is the silliest type. Yeah, I figure, yeah, I get you what you're saying. Not a good place to wash dog shit off of your shoes, but still. That's what garden hoses are for. But you know what your story really makes me think, Mac? Maybe I want to shit in the shower. I took a shower at the Madonna Inn finally. It's like, I think I took a shower, a bath in Solvang on the second day of the trip, the morning of the second day of the trip. And then the next time I took a shower was back in Madonna Inn. And that shower was so cool. It's like in a cave, you know. It's like rocks all around. And the whole room was super cool. When I booked it, I didn't even see how cool it was. Like the picture they had of it didn't reveal just how cool the room was. It was like a cave, you know, it was like big rocks all around. All the walls were rocks. That place is nuts. Hi, Rachel.
Hi, Eric.
How's it going?
It's going good.
So, we've got a couple of things to do today, I guess. Cameron's coming over at some point.
Okay.
I think other silly types are likely to be ESFPs. Can be probably pretty silly sometimes. ESTPs can be kind of silly sometimes. Well, they're not as silly as me. INFJs have good senses of humor, but they're not necessarily funny themselves, you know? They can be. But, Rachel made a really good joke the other night. I can't remember what it was though. I remember where we were when she made it. ISTJs are not silly. They're not very silly people. ISFJs can be silly. Like in Alpha Quadra, ISFJs and ENTPs can be silly. ESFJs and INTPs are less silly. INTPs can be silly, but they're less likely to extrovert, you know? Beta Quadra, ESTPs and ENFJs are likely to be sometimes silly. The other quadras, ENFPs might be silly sometimes, but and ESFPs, but like your NTJs are not very silly, and your STJs are not very silly. INFPs are not very silly. Sometimes they can be a little silly, but mostly they're wrangling with their subjective epistemologies. Things are serious when you feel the subjective epistemologies that much. But you know, it's like Stephen Colbert is probably an INFP, and he could be pretty silly.
Yeah.
Hi, Winston's mom. You're back. You're back and better than ever. I was less silly when I was younger, more edgy, you know. As I've gotten older, I've gotten less edgy and more silly. I like silliness better than edginess, generally speaking. The best edgy thing I've seen in a long time is Future Man. That's pretty edgy, but it's hilarious. If you haven't seen Future Man, you should watch it. I mean, it starts with this guy, he finally defeats this supposedly undefeatable game. And it's like a Last Starfighter thing, right? These people from the future come back to the past because he's the hero, because he figured out how to solve this game, and therefore he's going to be the savior, you know? But after he finishes the game, he's masturbating to the female character in the game, and then they appear all of a sudden from the future, and he shoots his load onto the dude's pants. So it definitely is a little edgy, you know, but always it doesn't make me cringe. It didn't make me cringe. It was funny. It's, you know who stars in it is the guy who was in the Sixth Sense, the little kid in the Sixth Sense. He's an adult now, and he was the star of one of the 3 stars of Future Man. Haley Joel Osment, yeah. That guy. He did a great job. You know, kid actors don't necessarily, even if they're good kid actors, their acting skills don't necessarily seem to carry over into adulthood, but his did. He's a good actor. Carl Jung had this quote that I heard yesterday that was the most INFJ quote ever. I wonder if I could find it. Carl Jung. Okay. Let's see. Let's see if I can find the ultimate INFJ quote. Hmm. Carl Jung. This is it right here. I found it. Aha. As a child, I felt myself to be alone, and I am still, because I know things, and must hint at things which others apparently know nothing of, and for the most part do not want to know. Loneliness, that's the quote, but there's another part of the quote here as well. Loneliness does not come from having no people about one, but from being unable to communicate the things that seem important to oneself, or from holding certain views which others find inadmissible. But the first part of the quote is the ultimate INFJ quote. As a child, I felt myself to be alone, and I am still, because I know things, and must hint at things which others apparently know nothing of, and for the most part do not want to know. That is the most INFJ sentence in history. You know? I bet there's not any INFJ, any real INFJ, who doesn't identify with that quote. Oh, you found it. You found it before me, huh? Amazing. see what this is referring to. Slow shifting, just constantly getting blocked over and over and slowly realizing how small the cage I got into willingly really was. What? Yeah, I was definitely feeling like I was in a cage last year or two, you know. There was some, like, moment before my dad died when I just sort of realized that I was being broken. You know, like, it was just this sense that I was stuck in this horrible situation forever. But I wasn't. I should have known better. I mean, obviously. But see, the thing is, until things took a sharp downturn for my dad, we didn't have any reason to think he wasn't going to live for another 10 or 15 years, you know? And when you've been caged for a while, when you get out of the cage, you don't know what to do with yourself. You know, it's like you just and it took Rachel and I a while to really move into the house even, you know. I know that I felt very much like a caged tiger. And it's not because I'm so ferocious as it is. I'm so unsuitable for caging. Not that anybody's particularly suitable for it, but I'm like devil unsuitable. What are those things?
Yeah.
Laxatives. Yeah, I'm glad our bonds are loosed as well. The thing is, of course, I have no practice, really, being empowered like this. Even when I was very successful career-wise and stuff, Candace kind of ran the show, you know? I ran the show at work, but I didn't pay any attention to our finances. I didn't make decisions. You know, we didn't have any plan or anything. She just spent a bunch of money on a bunch of stupid crap, you know. And it's not something that one gets there's a lot of stuff to think about that you've never thought about before. And decisions to make that you've never made before and you never will again, probably. And what you know a lot when you're caged is that you don't like being caged. What you don't know a lot about is what you would do if you weren't. So, there's that. And that's fine.
Hi, Trouble Bubble. Thank you, Alexis Mom, for the compliment.
Yeah, moving and the death of a parent are tough, and dealing with those all at once. But
Meow.
I mean, the real struggles here were stemmed from the complicated way my dad died and dealt with the estate and stuff. Well, she hasn't possessed it yet. Still contingent on our selling this house. Sometimes things must be taken away from us so that we can better live. Yeah, well, my dad, he did so much for us. That we wouldn't get to understand until after he was dead. It's strange to me. It's like, if you want to I guess it's just real love, you know? He didn't care what I thought. He just wanted to make sure I was okay. You know, mostly what I regret is the way that the last couple of years ruined my relationship with my dad. It's not like it was ever great. We didn't hang out all the time or anything. But I had nothing but positive things to say about the man, and loved and respected him immensely, you know. And I don't like remembering my dad there at the end, where he was. It wasn't just that he was suffering; it was that he was just getting to be really just openly contemptuous of me. And of course, the thing is, it has the opposite impact on me. You know, it's like whatever if he's hoping to kick my ass into gear, it's just gonna make me feel more like I can't operate under these conditions. So, you know, yeah. It's interesting how dementia hasn't ruined my, or tarnished at all my feelings and thoughts about her. I remember who she was, you know, and I see my dementia mom as what's, you know, a shell of her, but yeah, dementia has no motive, right? It's a horrible disease. It's like the worst thing that could happen to you, frankly. It's horrible. I don't know if you call it a disease, really. It's whatever it is, it's horrible. It's as horrible as an incorrigible smorgasbord. It's as horrible as an incorrigible smorgasbord. Yeah. Well, then there's the worst thing. One of the worst things I have in my memories about dementia with my mom is from when she was beginning to suffer from it, but I didn't know that was what was happening. And my dad decided not to tell me and Delilah for quite some time. And I remember this breakfast where I was like getting pretty mad at her because, like, Mom, why are you being so unreasonable? And so, like, I was telling her, oh, I'm gonna go see this thing over there, and she's like, no, you can't do that, it's too dangerous. Like, what are you talking about, you know? I didn't know what was going on at all. I was just thought, why is my mom being so difficult? Getting mad at her and stuff, you know, but it wasn't her fault. My dad should have told us as soon as he knew. And he knew late because he was SI tool, very slow boilable. His sister had to tell him. I just wasn't seeing my parents all that often at that point in my life, you know. I'd come over every couple of weeks for dinner or something. Is our new place surrounded by a forest? Yes, it is surrounded by forest. I mean, surrounded by. It's like we can see our neighbors. We can see, I think, two neighbors, right? You know, we can see one on that side and one on this side. So it's not like we're super far away from anybody, but we are pretty isolated back there, you know. There's this road that you go into, like, the forest area. It's got houses along the way and stuff. We're way towards the back end of it. So we're pretty back there in the forest. Physicists are notoriously scornful of scientists from other fields. When the great Austrian physicist Wolfgang Paul's wife left him for a chemist, he was staggered with disbelief. Had she taken A bullfighter, I would have understood. You remarked and wondered to a friend, but a chemist? I mean, chemists are the scientists that do the best work. They make drugs.
Speaking of drugs, I would like to smoke some weed.
Where's the bomb? Where did I put it? It's over here. It's already packed for you.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, a few neighbors are fine. I'm not lamenting the presence of neighbors. Uh, but like right across the street is National Forest, but right across the street National Forest is like this steep hill kind of. So if I'm gonna go into the National Forest, I'm probably not gonna just be able to walk across the street. Or I could climb. It's not that. I could climb up that hill, but it would be a slog. So if we're gonna go into the forest, we probably have to drive about 5 minutes that way to the spot where it's like a trailhead with multiple trails leading off into the forest.
It's probably better
Yeah,
on the trail.
it's very close to our house anyway, that trailhead. And the people who lived at that house before us, they had this off-road golf cart thing that they would drive on those paths, I guess. We don't have such a thing, but Rachel and I are talking about possibly getting electric bikes or a 2-seat electric bike, tandem electric bike would be fine too. Because I was like, well, how much, if I wanted to get the house with that 4-wheel thing included, how much more would it be? I was thinking like maybe another $5,000. Those things are like 20 grand. No, we don't need that.
No.
It's like I could buy a car for that much money. Why would you have to spend 20 grand to get a golf cart? Granted, theirs was really tripped out.
Yeah. It was definitely enough seating for like 6 people.
Yeah, but we don't need that much seating anyway. Although I guess if you have visitors, take them out of your 6-seat golf cart into the wilderness.
Yeah.
I mean, people are so lazy. Even when we want to go hiking in the wilderness, we have a special golf cart to take us there. Yeah, well, that's what the realtors told me too. It's like, just wait till you get up here and you'll wait a little bit and you'll find one of them, somebody offering one of them cheap, and you'll be able to pick it up for a good deal, I probably won't even bother. We just get electric bicycles. Rachel would prefer a tandem. I was looking at those and you have to make a lot of trade-offs. You know, we'd probably be better off getting 2 single ones. Cameron's a bit of an expert in that kind of shit, scooters and electric bikes and stuff. So, we'll consult with him about it a bit. See what he says. But you know, it's like, if Rachel and I were to ride regular bicycles into the wilderness, there's too much of a gap between our capacities to move ourselves along, right? Like, I'm super tall with long legs, and I have a super tall bike, and so I move pretty quick. And she's not very tall. I had a short bike. She doesn't move as quickly as I do. What about a 2-seater tricycle? I mean, the point is, I want something that's not gas powered, that I can ride into the wilderness without having to use a lot of effort. Because, you know, I get tired. I get winded. Electric tricycles? Well, what's the advantage of a tricycle over a bicycle? It just seems to me it's going to be more drag. You're going to get less distance on your charge. But you know, I'm a physicist, so. Whereas you're just a chemist. Of course, in the absolute worst case scenario, we could just walk into the wilderness, I guess. But it's like, how far are Rachel and I really gonna hike before we're just like, okay, this is a lot of walking.
Yeah.
You know.
I know I'm gonna be like that.
Yeah. So. Anyhow.
As much as like, that was like one thing I liked for Ken. But I was like into like physical exercise. Like, it's not.
Yeah. Well, I think we're gonna wrap it up here because I want to get out of this guy's way.
Oh, you're good, Stella. I'm gonna do the faucet.
Okay, cool.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm easy.
You're great.
That's mostly from outside anyways. It was a success on the
Oh, fantastic.
stopping the leak.
Okay,
Oh,
fantastic.
Yeah,
great.
I put a new rubber bushing in that thing and it stopped. 'Cause if not, to change one faucet, then once
Right, then you don't
it's
match.
difficult to find something in white, and even if you do, it's not going to look the same.
Right.
No.
It just makes things stand out, you know? And those things make people look,
Yep,
Right.
you're right.
Cool.
Aesthetics.
you know? So underneath the sink with the new piece of wood, you really can't tell. You can see there's a stain on the plaster wall, but it doesn't look like it has mold look on it. Because then that
Right, cool. All right,
Now,
thank you.
You said the word, don't say the M word.
Oh my
Right,
God.
yeah.
It's not a good thing.
No.
I don't know. Probably. Maybe ESFJ.
Yeah, that's what I think.
I wish I did have told you earlier.
It's funny, like,
This wind from this thing keeps blowing out my lighter.
oh.
So, I think I need to do today. I need to pay the roofer. I'm not sure. I guess I'll call Dean and see if he has the bill for that or whatever. Because I haven't seen it yet, so. I don't
There's a
think
ladder next to the, there's a ladder.
that must be
Oh,
it,
okay.
probably, yeah. So. Oh, right, camera's coming over. I keep forgetting about that.
Yeah.
Well, I think what we're gonna do. Eric Thor stops with MBTI. He stopped with it. I mean, he doesn't do it anymore. Well, I don't know why you're saying thank God. It wasn't like you had to watch it. Anyway, we're gonna get out of here because we gotta go. I got multiple errands to do. So, thanks for being here, everybody. Hope you enjoyed this fabulous live stream, and we will talk to you later.